Watch as we decode the impact on 6 September.
With the AI and tech, with the challenges regards to ethics, biases, one thing is certain. The optimism is all around. Everyone's optimistic about the IT and AI taking India to the fore of the India growth story. And India is poised to be the hub for AI and tech. So don't be scared that AI might take your jobs, but be sure to upskill, we adapt, and embrace the changes. So let's move on to our next panel discussion, which is on fintech. Now, fintech is the fastest growing one of the fastest growing sectors in India, and the market is in fact expected to triple by size by 2025, making India one of the global leaders in its place. It's already a country that has seen a mushrooming of startups across the fintech space, and that is all the more that we can expect from the industry. The truth is that as we navigate this growing and very rapidly evolving landscape, today's experts will discuss how the budgetary policies are going to also impact the sector and explore the emerging trends and opportunities within the fintech industry. So I'd like to take this time to introduce our panelists. Manish Shukla, founder Check UPI, Satvik Vishwanath, co-founder and CEO Unocoin, Manas Gond, co-founder and CEO Prosper.io, Saurabh Kumar, VP International Expansion Moodrex, Rajiv Chabra, founder and CEO Prop FTX. And this session will be moderated by Suyesha Sawant, Deputy News Editor at Republic TV. Suyesha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, and a very good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us today. I hope we are all settled. And I personally believe we are in very interesting times. And the rate at which fintech is growing, aiding the financial sector, it is more than imperative that we have this conversation. So Rajiv, I'd like to begin with you to understand that the Union Budget 2024 has provided a huge boost to the fintech sector. But as industry players, how would you describe the key areas where fintech can help the Indian economy grow, and also the support that you expect from the government to ensure that the fintech ecosystem thrives?
First of all, I must thank the government for a wonderful budget, I would say. The budget, why I say wonderful, was because they have created a lot of opportunities in the fintech space. And I can share one more thing. Last week we were in GFF. Even when a prime minister goes over there in that fintech festival, that means something. How serious our government is for doing something in the fintech space. And luckily, we have a lot of skilled people in fintech. And really, as you announced, 3 times, I can say the multiple times we can grow in next 3 to 4 years. And few things with government missed out, we can tell, but that can happen, And because India is a vast country, when they're making the budgets and all, fintech specific budget they cannot go for. But we industry people, we can tell them, and government is very proactive. They're listening to us, and that's what we can expect from the government, We can't expect everything 100% like for our liking,
Right, right. Manas, I want to come to you to talk about the regulatory aspect. Now, we understand how the budget has addressed regulatory challenges faced by fintech companies, but the specific measures, according to you, that should be taken to create a conducive regulatory environment. Also, when we are talking about fintech innovation, how can we together ensure, both as industry and the government, to balance it with consumer protection and financial stability?
So most of the time, if you see whatever the laws which governments are making, is to safeguard the end consumers. So the law which came in PIP, let's say, and BNPL, and all those things are there to safeguard the interest which consumers should focus. Now the main agenda of government, the regulation which is coming out, since the fintech is very evolving field, basically from technology, the role is playing, the democratization of the product which is happening. So government is always trying to chase us to so that we do not, or in the name of, let's say, any fintech player, okay, someone cannot cheat, correct? So there are a lot of laws which are coming. Some of the things are which is very, very well perceived by industry. It's asked for industry, you should have such law. And such law, and some laws are, of course, bit conservative approach, which shows, let's say, government should move fast. We should not just look at our country, but we should also look at how the outer world is doing, correct? Let's say, and also most of the thing which I personally feel is, let's say, the way the government should give us an opportunity to think, or at least should give us a proper list of the things which government is trying to curtail, so that we should not invest our resource, or we should not invest our money to build a business which may not last after 5 years, correct? So we have seen how they have regulated the cryptos, blockchain, and all those kind of things. So it's more and more government should be proactively talking with the industry leader, try to understand, and then make the law. But so far, so good. They are just trying to do a good job. Let's see how the things come up in future. Yeah.
To add some facts here, right? So, for example, the abolishing of angel taxation itself. So this was a huge challenge before, not only for the angels, but also for the startups, because identifying the exact valuation of a startup to figure out what the angel taxes is itself was a challenge. And now it is like, anyway, these companies were burning money, they were trying to build, and it was definitely, they were providing employment opportunities and innovation prospect, etc. for the country. So that is gone now. And also, if I talk about the e-commerce platforms, so the TDS has, for the sellers, whoever is selling on e-commerce, has gone down from 1% to 0.1%. This is like significantly very, very important, because the margins for these kinds of merchants is comparatively much low. Okay, so the TDS is supposed to be like maximum of whatever income tax they would pay. If you have the TDS itself is more than income tax, then your capital is getting locked up all across the year, and then you have to wait for the next August or September to claim it back. I think these things the government have definitely very well thought through and have brought this up. It's like fantastic.
Now, whatever Sarthak said, I want to add some few points on this. So government has now also, let's say, as a taxation expert, if I speak, so government has also given a lot of clarity, correct? What is the meaning of the TCS on what should be the property, let's say, even not just the e-commerce, even, let's say, if you are into a prop tech, okay, where the first, let's say, you have to deduct a lot of TDS if you are an NRI and all, those things have become very, very clear, okay?
Right.
So they are working very, very good on those direction. Let's see how the future will withhold us with us. Yeah.
Right. Saurabh, I want to come to you on another important aspect, because the union budget has also emphasized on the potential that fintech has when it comes to poverty reduction and financial inclusion. Now, in terms of ensuring as an industry that you reach out to the smaller pockets, to a more unserved population, to ensure financial inclusion, how are you working towards it?
Right. So at least from a startup industry space, and I see like bunch of innovation that's happening at the grassroots level. There's a lot of innovation that has especially happened on the credit scoring bit, because a lot of folks, and especially folks from lower economic strata, they would not have a credit history, so it's tough to determine, tough to undermine that loan. So a lot of innovation is happening that side. Also from a distribution perspective, what could be a collateral, what could be an asset that is considered for that person, and how can we sort of underwrite that and provide a loan, a micro loan that can be enabled for a lot of folks, which could be based on daily needs, could be based on monthly needs. So a roadside retailer who currently borrows that money from, let's say, a big agent right now, pays like a monthly tax of interest of 3%, goes down all the way to 8-9% annually, right? And that helps a lot of people participate in this economy.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so in this budget itself, government introduced two changes. One of them was to increase the limit of mudra loans from 10 lakh to 20 lakhs. Yes. And this increase is going to help MSME to a large extent. And the second thing is another great opportunity for small vendors. This is called the PM Swanidhi Yojana, where small vendors who do not have the credit history, they can utilize the scheme to get the formal credit from regulated banks and other entities. This is going to largely get them, this is going to include them into the regulated financial space.
Right. And in fact, I want to take my next question to you on an extended aspect. Now, we understand how the Modi government has been emphasizing on going digital and digital transactions. but we are still a distance away from having a completely cashless economy. Where do you think the gap is and how can we cover that?
Yeah, if you talk about cashless economy, let's rewind 10 years ago. We see that it was largely a card-based ecosystem where in India, credit card and debit card penetration was very, very low. Then came the UPI revolution, one of the government's biggest digital public infrastructure, where when it started, it had few users. Today, UPI does 10 billion transactions a month. And you see from a big mall to the extreme corner of India, every merchant accepts UPI. It has largely filled up a lot of gap, but we still see multiple places where the banking system needs to move up. One of the key things which we are trying to solve also is UPI One World. UPI One World is UPI for foreign nationals, NRIs who do not have Indian savings account. They can also transact through UPI. There are several other aspects where the minors who do not have bank account, they can transact through UPI. Then there is B2B payments which also need formalization in the sense that they should be easy to make. So government is doing a lot on making a cashless economy. Still, the road is along. Hopefully there will be multiple, you can say, innovative solutions coming along.
Yeah. Right. Yes, please.
Yeah. See, when we talk about digitization or creating a cashless economy, it is not like one company upgrading their infrastructure systems. Okay, it's about the country, everyone in the country having that push to go towards it. And this needs a lot of other ingredients to be in place. And I believe one step at a time, we are covering like most of it, right? So the first one is you definitely need a smartphone. You cannot just use a feature phone for it. And there should be some good literature, like the literacy should be there. At least if not English speaking or English reading, at least the regional languages, they should be able to read and understand what the mobile phone is trying to say. And then access of the internet. Right, so now we have like Geo and such, which is really offering very good, internet plans for them, etc. So these one thing at a time, and then again it comes back to having the access to bank accounts, so that if you want to do the UPI, then you need the bank accounts, and for the bank accounts you need to have the Aadhaar cards and everything linked up as well. So there is like a lot of one thing at a time that has to happen. A lot of them are happening in parallel, and definitely like says, I'm also excited to see like how good we have performed maybe since 2016 to today. It's like amazing thing. I cannot even imagine for a country like India to have this kind of improvement. And probably we may be there like 70-75% of most of the transactions that we want to digitize are already digitized, and it's going good. So yeah, it's not easy, but whatever has happened is amazing. Yeah.
So a decade or so.
Yeah, just to give an example, I have not been carrying cash since last 6 months, and my life has been very good.
I think even I have switched, so I agree.
And now I don't even use card. Forget about those things. Everything is UPI driven for me.
I'll add one more line into it, you see. I mean, we should not forget, since I am from the old school, India's very vast, and we have so much of population. Things are happening, but things are happening in a good shape. Prudently, things will, take shape. The country cannot be all of a sudden digitalized in a day,
Yeah.
It has to happen. Things are happening, I think most of people, we're trying to build an ecosystem where, we all founders of fintech companies, we are trying to do something. There are many like us. They're trying to put their perspectives and whatever they can contribute along the way the government is encouraging, and sometimes, of course, what are things we'll try to put, which the government can also take up, The digitalization is happening. It is, again, not happening at a pace, too much of pace. It was happening, it took up pace from last 4 years. Now it is, plateauing. But it will happen, It's happening.
And again, it's really about reaching into the smaller pockets.
Exactly. That was the point,
Rajiv, I want to come to you on the next point. Now, the union budget has acknowledged the potential of blockchain technology, but we understand that it is still a space that continues to be explored. Now, in terms of specific applications that can benefit India, and also addressing the challenges and risks, where do we stand?
Wonderful. That is a topic I love. When I was in my job, when I wanted to do a startup, I told you, whenever you come in Bangalore, you get that bug of doing your own startup, So that bug, hit me also. Well, first thing was, which attracted me was blockchain, Blockchain, people have a small wrong notion, They always think blockchain and crypto together. But crypto and blockchain are way, apart. Blockchain is a decentralized ledger, I must tell everybody, It's a ledger world over. Decentralized means everybody can have an access, can have a look, not access, per se, but they are transparent, but all transactions are encrypted. Both are, diversive, but in blockchain, both the things can happen,
Right.
But if you say there are some issues with blockchain, yeah, crypto things happened, People were not able to understand. People thought it is just, only for investment they took it. Fine, cryptography is a big thing. If at all somebody goes for a use case, one of the smartest person out of India in this fintech or other tech space, Mr. Nandan Nilekani, he was there last week in GFF in Mumbai. He talked about tokenization. Tokenization is going to take the world, at a different league. That's what was my point. I wanted to tell our government, we need to take a leap. We need to stand where the world is going. Tokenization is going to happen. Now, I can tell your viewers also, they can just Google a word called RWA. That is called real world assets. All assets are notional unless and until we put value to it. The value, whenever they are valued, they should be also able to be bifurcated. So tokenization can go, maybe you can tokenize anything, divide by 100 or 1,000,000. So you will have a value for it, And technology or fintech will make it very easy, and blockchain is one technology which makes it very easy. I think my friend can also, put this point over there, and even both of them can, take it further, They have some use case, I have a use case. So we are using it as a first layer where all smart contracts are put over there. So any transaction in our real estate trade can be checked.
Right.
Even the history of the documents can also be checked. We don't have to go far every time to go to a sub-registrar and check our documents. You can get the document details, which are on your blockchain that is in the form of a smart contract. I think, please.
Yeah, I would want to touch on the challenges and response. So, of course, one major challenge is the learning curve that it takes initially. So, as of today, the UX to access blockchain and blockchain technologies is fairly hard. And if you were to go for the decentralized side, it's actually tough to access funds. And the risk also comes from there that now it's even harder to navigate your security. You can click one misclick and you can lose all your funds that are held in one account.
Right.
So these are things that people should keep in mind while even interacting with such stuff.
And also you need to have educated people, educative audience for that, You cannot put
It's also as an industry you have to do.
No, that's awareness.
Yes,
Unless and until
yes.
I think
Proactive, yes.
Yes, even media also can be, what are the positives at least, along with the negatives. You can narrate to the people, you see, unless until some awareness is there for the masses, will not going to be, please.
See, I think when it comes to tokenization, tokenization is not new today, according to me. For example, if you take Infosys, the way they have tokenized is issuing X number of shares.
Sure.
And that is getting exchanged on,
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Even share is also tokenized.
And if you say RBI or government, the way they have tokenized the monetary system is by using rupees, right? So at the end, no one can have like lot of systems. They cannot have full of something. It has to be a part of something. If only one person have full of something, then it actually does not have any value, according to others at all, right? So, but then comes the challenges of bringing it into the country like India. Okay, so one obviously is the education, but on the other side also, technology gives lot of opportunities of what all you can do. But the first question that the founders like us get is, can we do it or not? Can we do it in India or not? To what extent it is fine? Do we have any kind of policies and regulations in place? Does it ever come at all in the future? And if not, then what is the fate of this kind of idea? So if these questions do not get answered, there is second layer of questions. Do we have the proper banking support for this? Do we have the proper insurance support for this? So it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. So I think in India, one big challenge is we don't have proper, very fast adoptive regulations, right? So once they do it, a lot of times it sits like that probably for, we even have some examples which is sitting since 100 years, the rules and regulations. So it has to be like updated. But the way the industry is growing, if you cannot update it to that extent, or at least like half of that speed, then we will continue to lag behind. Only we can see what the rest of the world is doing, lure about it, saying like, okay, there's like fantastic whatever is happening. Okay, we cannot do it in India, let's wait. How long you wait? Right, so I think we have like sandbox and such where the government is trying to help to some extent where you can experiment, but eventually you have to get it to the masses, you have to get it to the people, right? So for that will only happen when these kinds of regulations are put in place. But when it comes to crypto industry, we were asking for regulation, but they gave us higher taxation than normal, saying that, okay, you are, according to them, we earn a lot of money. So that is not really true. And they gave up with 1% TDS, and that is like extremely high. Whatever was applicable for real estate and such, they gave it here, and people actually transact multiple times a month. And if your capital keeps on getting blocked, then it makes it challenging. Also, so that should be adopted, and it didn't change since 3 years already. It should have changed because the government already have data about like whatever has happened. Okay, if this is obstructing the growth of the industry, then it should be amended, right? So I think that kind of adaptive regulations and policies are required. Yeah.
Right, but we also understand. Okay, make your point.
Sure. Blockchain is just not fintech itself. Blockchain is a big thing, It says the proof of concept, right? Proof of concept means if anything has happened, the proof of concept is there, So there also, if it all say, blockchain can also be used in the medicine, the journey of the medicine, from where the raw material was procured, whether that was the correct quantity, quality or not. So blockchain can be used anywhere. So it's not just fintech.
Right.
Yeah.
So this brings me to my next question. And the larger point we are harping on is, of course, awareness. And Saurabh, if you can take that. It is important to make people financially literate. And given how we are such a diverse country, what do you think are the ways that can be implemented into serving this purpose?
Right. So I do think, like from a long-term solution perspective, this has to start all the way from primary, early, secondary schooling perspective, right? If you look at like the financial education or kind of schooling that we guys came out of, we had nothing to learn practically for how to manage our money, how to do with it. And now money has gone digital, your transactions are gone, but nobody has, apart from some influencers who are also now regulated in different ways, nobody has actually tried to explain that world to us. Now, it would really help if this started early, right? And if people were able to try a bunch of these things at much early age, which you will also see in terms of any technology, kids are able to adapt to it much faster.
Yes.
They are far better and far securer in this world because it's a native world for them. So starting them off early is a much better idea. But a lot more government schemes, a lot more ideas like crypto probably having a mutual fund sahi hai moment for the next 10 years is probably the kind of things that'll bring the space to
yeah, something like
right.
that. Exactly is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to add? See, I'm telling you, eventually the technology is going to, take it over, Now we go to sub-registrar for registering our properties. If we use blockchain over there, it can happen within minutes. All the transaction earlier, papers, who were the owners, who were the, if we want to talk about the mother deeds and all, can be encrypted and can be put over there. Eventually, I can tell you, there are some governments, that is Telangana government has already started doing. You'll be surprised. West Bengal government is very proactive in this.
Right.
Eventually, blockchain has to be used, So that's what's how this thing. Yeah.
So of course we understand that, but also that it is a space that needs to be explored a lot more. Sure. And talking about how it should start at an early age, I also know 10-year-olds who know how to create an app. So point is to cater to a larger audience. But I want to move on in this conversation as we understand how a big focus in this union budget was to empower women. And Satvik, I want to come to you to understand how it works in the fintech space in terms of opportunities and challenges for women entrepreneurs in this sector, and how the government is supporting women-led fintech startups.
Yeah, see, it's much more general question, I believe, not specific.
And I also understand there's no woman in this panel, but please do explain how it is.
Yeah, so I think there is a lot of push that eventually the government is trying to give, and obviously women are also beneficiaries of this, right? So like one of the big changes we saw in this is, again, when it comes to taxation, the long-term capital gains, it went down for some of the assets from like 20% to 12.5%. And on the other side, if you see, there is a lot of like the push where they are putting a lot of money for the infrastructure. Then eventually what it actually happens is that will held up, that will be used to build companies, support companies, give loan for the companies. And when you are giving loan for the companies, again, there is another fintech that is evaluating the present situation and then giving the loan for eligible people. And there is a credit guarantee that the government is proposing. Before, that's always like, okay, you're a woman, like to what extent can you like run a business? You could get married, then you could have a baby, like multiple things. So now now, I mean, eventually you have to bring that out and say that, okay, I am investing in an intellect of a particular person. I am intellecting in an organization, right? So for this, I think one step at a time, if you completely say, okay, because of women, I'm doing this XYZ things, it will still not look good. They feel like we are one of them. We are one of everyone, right? So, but eventually the way you try to empower a subtle way, I think it really adds up very well. So like I was explaining, now there are wealth tech companies which are more becoming active because the taxation has reduced, and there is the bigger thing for women for a lot of times is how to maintain the savings of the family, right? So now depending upon the diversification that they take, then maybe for women from affluent families, then you may get to some wealth managers and do the required diversification, etc. So I think it will not happen in 1 year, but probably over 5 years, 10 years budget, if you see, then I definitely see that wherever the women started up to where eventually they have come up, so they will actually see the progressive involvement in this kind of fintech and try to get benefit out of it, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, one more thing which I want to say, let's say, what is the importance of technology in the fintech? So let's say once you are a woman or you are, let's say, man, or you are anything, correct? It doesn't define or it doesn't restrict your foundation, correct? What it does need, it's just need your digital identity.
Right.
Nothing more than that, okay? And this is why the fintech player, which is driven by the product, will help women to get more access to the product, which was restricted to the manly. And it was just seen as a, let's say, it will not depend upon just the gender which you are, but also on the digital ability or the things.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, I should have also had a woman entrepreneur on the panel to answer that. But Manas, that also brings me to the next question. So women, of course, is one aspect. The other is farmers, and how the fintech industry can really help aid the agricultural sector to provide better livelihoods for farmers, and how that is actually in process, like we were discussing.
Yeah, so I will just give you an example. One of the fintech, let's say one of the arms of fintech is let's say agri-tech, okay? Agri-tech, if you see, most of the companies these days are going insane aggressive on the penetrating the tier 3 or tier 4 farmers, correct? So if you see what are the expense of the farmer, if you, let's say 75% of our economy is driven by the agriculture, correct? And now if we are able to bring wheels to that, or if we are able to, let's say, accelerate the growth of that, okay, we will become the 10 trillion GDP or the 15 trillion GDP, which currently seems like impossible for us. So let's take an example. A major expense of a farmer is to buy seeds, to buy fertilizer and all those kind of stuff. Now, if we are able to give those things on a loan, not just of money, but a commodity as a loan, and just pay me those particular things. So this will bring a lot of transparency. And as Saurabh mentioned, let's say if you go into the tier 3 or tier 4 or in a village, okay, mostly the farmers take the loans from the local landlords or those kind of sahukars, which charges 3 to 4%. Okay. Now, if I'm able to click on my mobile app and I'm able to get loan at 8 to 9%, okay, this is awesome, and this is something which is the real case of digitalization or democratization of the product. And I will give one more very, very good example, okay? Let's say the taxation which we talk about. So most of the thing, if you go to the very, very deep down into the, let's say, UP, Bihar or Odisha, all those sections of the society, there it is thought as a, let's say, it's big thing to solve the taxation.
Right.
But implementing the new taxation laws and all, it's give very, very seamless kind of thing to our citizens, yeah.
And I wish we could talk about this more, but I'm slightly short on time, so we are going to wrap this discussion. I want to take this one last question from you, Manas, on how much is spoken with regards to security and privacy concerns that are associated with fintech, and how can we ensure a safer, secure way forward?
So in fintech, risk is one of the key elements to solve for. Risk comes from various aspects. One is identity risk, that is someone trying to prove that he is a different person than he is. Then you have risk around technology itself, where people are able to steal data and then impersonate as someone else.
Yes.
Call you, like you purchase a new car and someone calls you, I'm from the insurance company, take this insurance from me. So then you have challenges around AI and other domains where the person is able to steal your identity. They are able to do actions which they are not meant for. So some of these challenges do get addressed through technology. So technology addresses challenges through implementing things like end-to-end encryption, having two-factor authentication where you always have a PIN or you have an OTP to do the transaction. Then some challenges which cannot be solved through technology they emerge from the social engineering aspect,
right,
where someone just engineers who you are, tries to identify what you regularly do in your life and impersonates as someone else. So these can be solved only through user awareness, and user awareness has to be one of the key areas of research and development where this should happen.
So, look, the first tenet of all of this is trust but verify. So, the analogy...
And you've also had examples in your own company.
So, like, we've had our website 38 different websites trying to imitate mudrex.com, right? And we had to actually go to the High Court, get an order to get these sites to be shut down by MeToo. But what happens is that just because somebody is reaching out to you and promising some good returns and says that, hey, click on this link, it's almost an analogy of like how you don't take candies from strangers. Similarly, you don't click on strange links on the internet, and that sort of starts with, you trust but you verify always.
All right.
Also,
I think a lot of it has also to do with people should understand what they should do and what they should not do. Like, so for example, you could just go to a mall, someone is asking you to give you a mobile number because they're putting the lucky dip. You have no clue from there where the data goes and eventually how it even comes back and bite you, right? So there are so many. Technology sometimes is also a weapon, right? So initially there used to be like someone calling you, trying to imitate that, okay, I'm so-and-so, and you need to pay that kind of money, this kind of money, or sometimes it used to be blackmail and such. Now we can even use AI technology, or artificial intelligence technology,
right,
where there actually is no human on the other side. Yeah. And they will be able to do this with 10,000 people at the same time.
Okay.
So now, given maybe even if they are 0.5% successful or 1% successful, they get paid much more as compared to how much they had to pay those number of people to sit on their side and do the scam. Yeah. That on one side. On the other side, because of the digitization, people are so used to saying, okay, click one button, scan the QR code, send. And if they're getting blackmailed with something, they just will be like so tensed. Okay, I know. If I pay it, then the issue is gone. But before, what it used to happen means, okay, now I have to go to the bank, I have to sit, I have to write a check, do the NEFT payment. So at that time, people at least thought, okay, if a person comes in, the banker, okay, normally you only take 5 or 10 or 20,000 rupees every month for your expenses. Why are you sending 5 lakhs? Then at least it will trick their mind saying that, okay, maybe I should rethink about this. But now everything digitized, everything at the fingertips, they do it, and then they feel like whatever money is sent to the bank account is always safe because there is a KYC on the other side. But that is not actually, that's not actually true.
Over here, I'll tell you. With tech, it gives you a hand. You need to be smarter day by day. Yeah. You can't live on your laurels.
Literacy. It comes back to the financial literacy.
Financial literacy.
Right. But
They're-
as much as you're putting it on the user,
Right.
I think it is
I
also
do-
as an industry to how
Right,
you
like,
work
so
towards safer
I
means.
do think a lot of ownership is also on our end.
Yes.
Our end,
Awareness,
that's right.
education perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so is it in the government's hands. So for a lot of emerging technologies, they will have to start adopting it and then start communicating to end users.
Right.
I actually have one suggestion that I generally want to give people, that if people have multiple lakhs of money and such, then they should have 2 bank accounts. One that is just used where maximum you keep is 1 month ka expense, and remaining money you keep in another bank account that do not have online access. This idea has preserved lot of people's money. Sure. That's like best thing to do. I think.
Okay,
Exactly, this is
okay, we
helpful.
take your suggestion on that. And I know we can go on talking about this, but we do have a time limit. I want to thank you all for having this very interesting conversation. And please, let's gather here as we want to present a memento to you all. Please.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you for allowing.
Thanks for having us.